Hi everyone, it's Olga Zar from SEO Sly. Welcome to SEO Podcast by SEO Sly. Today I have a very special guest, Adriana. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I am very honored to have you here. I love having women in tech SEO here as my guests because they always have so many great things to share and I love those interviews. And I
Awesome.
think this is where I initially got to know you. I saw you. I think it was in Women in Tech SEO. And yeah, I
Yes.
think so. Yeah. Okay. So for people who don't know you, can you briefly introduce yourself? Like, where are you based? What do you do in SEO and everything you feel like sharing?
Yes. So my name is Adriana Stein. I'm the CEO and founder of AS Marketing. We're a holistic marketing agency that specializes in multi-language. So we offer marketing support in 30 different languages with native speakers. Most of the time, this involves SEO. So multi-language SEO. This is the majority of our team is in SEO, but we also offer, all the other stuff, PPC, brand strategy,
Uh-huh.
etc. So combining those all together, but my background in particular is in multi-language SEO, and that's actually how I got my start because I'm based in Hamburg, Germany. I've been here for 7 years now, but I'm originally from the US. So that was
Okay.
my entrance into the SEO world was the multi-language thing.
Awesome. So I want to get to know your SEO story in more detail. So if you can get me back, way back into the beginnings, when did you start? What year? And what was like your first encounter with SEO?
Yeah, so it's very heavily tied into my story in Germany. When I came to Germany, I originally arrived to do my master's degree, and I had to learn German to do that. And so I spent around 6 months learning German, and we had this like very, very insane university test. It's still to this day the most difficult test that I've ever taken in my life. And unfortunately, I didn't pass it.
Oh,
Even after working so hard to learn German for so long, it's such a difficult language. But it ended up being a good thing because after the university thing didn't work out, then the foreigners office here told me, well, you spent all this time learning German, so why don't you do like content translations or content writing? You're a native English speaker, and a lot of companies need that. So you have two very useful languages for living in Germany. So why don't you try doing that?
uh-huh.
And so, yeah, coincidentally, that's basically how I got my start in content writing, content translations, and SEO. Because the first projects that I started working on, they were German to English or a mixture of them both, or things like this. And I got a very helpful overview for the first year or so, sort of like a crash course into content marketing in general, but also the nuances of SEO. And things kind of just grew from there as I realized a lot of companies in Germany, and not just in Germany by now, but really a lot of the world does a lot of international marketing. And
Uh-huh.
so there's just been a lot of demand for that, and hence that is where AS Marketing as the agency was born. And so that's kind of the transition. A lot of years in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. So 7 years around, am I correct?
Seven years. Yep.
Okay, okay, that's nice. And this exam was about simply like German language?
Yeah, German language, but it was crazy because I actually wanted to study anthropology, but this test
Uh-huh.
had like German statistics problems, like
Okay.
understanding math and statistics and then
Oh.
describing it in German. And I will never to this day understand the point of that for someone who
Uh-huh.
wants to study anthropology. But anyways, it was a good thing I didn't pass. I ended up passing a different test later, which has been helpful for living here, and I've just kind of forgotten the whole university thing. But that's all right. Life has surprises like that.
Yeah, sure. And so throughout those 7 years, you had how many SEO jobs, gigs?
So I've only worked basically agency side. First, I
Uh-huh.
started as a freelancer, so doing projects for different clients, both locally here in Hamburg and globally, so US, UK, for example. And then I just basically transitioned that to an agency brand. And so
Uh-huh.
I've only worked, I can say, like on the consulting or on the agency side. I haven't worked in
Uh-huh.
house.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. Like I also worked in house for a very short time. I think like a year at the start of my career, and then I was always on the agency side, which I think I like better. I think
Yeah.
like yes, it's more interesting, more variety. So in
Exactly.
your yeah, and in your job right now, what is exactly that you do? Like what are the tasks you do? What are the projects you do? Like tell me in more detail because I hope to get some tips from you about what you do.
Yes. So a lot of agencies structure things in different ways. So this might not be the same in every agency, but the way that
Sure.
my team is set up is basically we have me, who is the CEO, who is kind of like the overarching like quality assurance person, and then who manages our projects are project managers, and they're the ones who are responsible for communicating directly with the clients, assigning different things to the different team members involved in the project, setting and maintaining budgets and deadlines, and just basically like ensuring that the client is happy, we're getting results, and then the team consists of what we need on the project. So it can be various languages, it can be various role types, SEO strategist, content strategist, content writer, graphic designer, developer, depending on the particular project. And so then our project managers basically report to me and just kind of give me an overview of how things are going. And my role is a lot more focused on the business growth kind of side, like how can we as a brand ourselves grow, what can we optimize in terms of our like internal processes based on what the project managers are experiencing. I do a lot of like finance and accounting, which is the very boring side of what I
Uh-huh.
do.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I'm still quite heavily involved in our sales process as well, because that just helps like kind of having my face there for the credibility, and just like getting the projects closed and over the line before they're handed over to the project manager, stuff like that. So it it's a lot less SEO focused than I started out. So I'm not so much doing like I'm not really the one like doing a full SEO audit, for example, for a client anymore. I may just be checking on a project, like, have we done the audit in time? Does the project manager
Mm-hmm.
need anything in order to ensure that audit is done on time? Has our pricing been set for that correctly? Things like that.
Okay, okay, that's interesting. And how many people are there in your company?
So we have a core team of 4 people, but we hire in various people depending on the role type,
Yeah.
and what's needed for the project. So it changes a lot. As we first started focusing on largely English and German, because that was my background, and then as we've expanded to include 30 languages, then we basically have set people that we work with for specific languages and specific role types. And so it's quite a flexible flow, which is
Uh-huh.
good
Yeah.
for,
Yeah.
that's how projects work. Agency side, you have to be very agile. So we are basically set up to be as agile as possible.
Okay, okay. And can you tell me some of the challenges you have been facing recently or not recently, some like the biggest challenges you have been facing?
Yeah, so I think initially the challenges were which really happens with any scaling any type of service-based business, is just ensuring project quality over everything that you do. So no matter how big or small the client is, it's not like one person should get a better level of service than another. It should be that every client that we work with gets the best possible service that we can offer. We are very results focused. So how can we generate the best possible results within the conditions that we have, within the conditions that the client's business has? And that took a lot of a lot of things that I didn't expect to have to learn, which is things like operations, um, understanding how to calculate finances for a project in terms of like pricing versus profit margin, um,
Uh-huh.
setting timelines for very explicit types of projects. So we have a lot of processes that we run on a repeat manner because we know that they work. And then this helps us just generate more efficient results for the client as well because we've applied them across a lot of different projects and just setting up all of the processes for that. And so that took a while. That took years of like
Yeah.
testing and working with different team members who have really made a huge amount of input into that, and me learning from them, also just in terms of operations especially, and learning how to train the team, what is the best possible way to do that. I think that's been the biggest challenge in the past. I think though recently, now that we have pretty standardized and optimized processes, now the next challenge is really just the market.
Uh-huh.
We
Uh-huh.
have a lot of things have come up in the last months, between the recession, between AI becoming more
Yeah.
popular, between now even recently this bank in Silicon Valley. That's quite an issue. So we've been heavily affected because we largely work with B2B tech. So the last 6 months have been quite an uphill battle just to like keep things running, keep the business um, profitable so I can keep all the team members that we have and just, trying to do as best as we can with the conditions that we have.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Because my next question was supposed to be whether you are planning on like scaling into a big agency in the future, or do you want to like stay small?
I think it will depend on the direction that we decide to go. So right now we're actually working on kind of revamping our service structure. So I can't say a whole lot because I don't want to
Sure.
like give any secrets
Yeah,
away.
sure.
But we may not necessarily focus purely on marketing. We may start to go in some other directions that maybe combine marketing with some other things that kind of take the reliance off of AI right now. That's a lot of what a lot of marketers struggle with, but for sure agencies and how we will be tested based on that or compared based on that. And so we're kind of trying to go into a different direction of like, what can we do that has nothing to do with AI? And
Okay.
what can we do that is still very people based and still apply the knowledge that we have, but then continue learning and continue doing something else that develops a new sort of USP for the brand. So that's sort of the next step, and how we scale from there really depends on where we go. So it's hard to say.
Sure. I'm just asking because I have been a freelance. I have been having my own consultancy for like half a year only, like because before that I was like doing consulting and I still had a job. Now I'm not, like doing it full time. And I'm like simply asking out of curiosity because for me, at least at this point, I don't think I would like to scale. I would like to
Mhm.
grow. I would like to keep it relatively small with a small number of clients so that I can still have the lifestyle that is not that demanding, that I have a lot of freedom. Of course, this
Yeah.
is what I think right now. We'll see how it goes. But I think I will probably stick with that. But yeah, we'll see.
I
We'll
can
see.
understand that.
Yeah.
Scaling is so much easier said than done. It takes a lot of testing, a lot of patience, a lot of experimentation to really do it in a way to create a business that doesn't overwhelm the founder.
I've been on the agency side and I see how some of those like top people how they are usually worn out or how stressed they are because like everything basically
Yep.
depends on them. But yeah, that depends. And regarding AI, so you don't plan on adding ChatGPT or Bing Chat as like a regular thing you do, like leveraging the efficiency it can offer you, or do you want it to make it your unique selling point, that everything you create has nothing to do with AI? Because I think it looks like in the future everyone will be is already using ChatGPT like in their
Yeah.
SEO daily work. So why not leverage that? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I've done quite a bit of experimentation since it was released. I'm curious to see how the next version of it will work in terms of outputs. It should be released sometime this week, according to the latest news I read.
Uh-huh.
But GTP3, the current version, if I can put it simply, it's awful. It's really, yeah. To be honest, I don't find it useful really at all. And this could
Uh-huh.
be predominantly because we are working largely with complex B2B, so like manufacturing, pharma, very technical software. So it's not like we don't typically work with like a trendy type of SaaS tool. It's more like something maybe a doctor would use for a specific process,
Uh-huh.
or um, yeah, I'm trying to think of a good example, but
Yeah,
it's it's
sure,
it's
sure.
it's incredibly complex stuff that's typically driven by a subject matter expert, and that's something that AI simply doesn't have.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
if you try to create content with that sort of process in these industries, it just won't work. You're just wasting your time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're doing a simpler topic, maybe e-commerce, like fashion e-commerce, for example, then maybe it could be useful. It depends again on the application, though. We even have some projects where it is e-commerce based, but they sell also again like complex
Uh-huh.
products that are like 10,000 and up.
Okay.
So even then, it doesn't apply very well. So
Okay.
yeah, so
I get
I
it.
can see like for our specific application, in combination also with multi-language, it's just not useful at this stage. That's not to say that it won't be in the future as the AI learns and improves. It could be, but I think also as an agency, it's really important to establish your own USP. And there's a lot of companies who are just doing the same stuff. They were already doing the same stuff even before AI, and now they're doing even more of the same stuff. And so that's why we're trying to focus ourselves a bit less on doing, I will say, like traditional digital marketing,
Mm-hmm.
but kind of going a different direction away from that. That's not even solely focused on marketing. So we have some
Okay.
good ideas that we're working on setting up there, and that's as far as I can go at this point.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Sure. And do you also speak at conferences? On a
Yeah,
side
I
note?
will actually be speaking at Brighton SEO this year
No.
in April.
Awesome. Awesome. And what will be your topic?
How to combat SERP volatility. So a
Oh.
very technical topic for like advanced people, I would say.
Uh-huh.
If you're interested, come check it out. It'll be very technical.
Yeah. Can you like give me a short preview of the points you will be covering, or you cannot really say anything at this point?
Yeah, I can say a bit. So the main concept is that now that SEO is kind of like a line item for most businesses, they understand the value of SEO, they've started doing it, and there has been a lot of success with it. That just means a lot of saturation. So across industries, there's just lots of businesses doing SEO, publishing all of the time, and Google has to keep up with these updates and make changes. And so it's no longer the fact that you get a number one keyword ranking and then you just have that forever.
Yeah.
It changes all the time. There are constant changes. And so it's important to look at SEO not just from like the keyword ranking standpoint, but like averages across longer periods of time. Really looking at your competitors, looking at how Google is A/B testing SERPs and things like this. So I give quite a few examples of what might be causing SERP volatility, and then
Oh.
some methods for understanding it in a very data-driven manner so that you can understand how to make optimizations based on that. It's very important that we get clients sometimes who they're like, oh, my rankings dropped, and like they're in panic mode, and do we need to
Yeah.
like I don't know redo the whole website or something? Like No, no. Take some time to understand the data and understand, what may be causing, this loss in keyword rankings and to what extent and over which period of time, and review that from a data perspective, and then that'll give you a much clearer idea of what changes you might need to make, or maybe not even at all.
And can you name some things that may be causing some reasons why a specific search result may be like volatile or a search query?
Yeah, so one of the main ones now is anything surrounding ChatGPT, because it's a trending topic. So Google is still trying to understand all of the search terms and their relevance in terms of other types of information, because it's a completely new topic. So there's a ton of content coming out in the news, and it's changing all of the time. And as things get updated, then there's going to be different SERPs for different search queries, because things just change. So that's one of the biggest ones, is if you have changes to a trending topic, then yeah, your volatility for your keyword rankings is going to be crazy for this topic. So if you're covering anything surrounding a big changing news topic, then that's very common that you see, huge ups and downs over a short period of time. And that's when it's important to look rather at averages, look what changes in the news have been, impact your content, and then only make those changes based on the data and based on the information that you can find.
Yeah, so regarding ChatGPT, I recently wrote an article about like using ChatGPT for SEO, and one day I was like first for ChatGPT, something like that, and then of course I went down far away. But yeah, this is what I experienced, and there was like a huge bump in Google Search Console. So you're saying that we should be looking at averages. So is it, for example, is a good metric average position in GSC, for example?
Yeah, average position, average click-through rate over, but somewhere between 3 to 6 months. It depends on the topic, how rapidly it's changing, and also how much you publish, and just generally your industry competition as well. So at minimum, average across 3 months, but definitely across 6 months, just looking at how that's performing. And if you see these massive ups and downs, where do you need to make changes? If you see just small ups and downs, then maybe it's a matter of just making a few tweaks, and then it can become more stable. Or maybe it's not possible to see something stable. For example, I was doing some research on what was showing up for SEO for beginners, and I looked at this search query, SEO for beginners, and I looked at the SERPs over, I think, 1 week, and then 2 weeks, and then a couple weeks later, and I noticed that the top guys are always going up and down. Well, why was that? Because one refreshed and went to the top, and then the other ones noticed the other one refreshed, and then that refreshed one went to the top. And so it was kind of always like a game of just like, making little refreshing tweaks, and that was always the one who got number one.
Yeah, I've noticed, the same things for a bunch of SEO related queries.
Yes.
Yeah. And do, for example, SERP elements like maps, featured snippets, whatever those other elements we have besides blue links, are they volatile as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Because if anyone optimizes for that where you haven't, then they're probably going to get that snippet versus you, or the same way around.
Yeah, but I mean like that, for example, they don't appear at all. Like, I don't know, that for a given query, the map pack appears and then it doesn't appear. Like, have you been like searching that as well?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, ChatGPT is a good example of that as well, because when the topic was new, there probably weren't any videos on it, for example.
Yeah.
So now there would be video featured snippets because there has been video produced. So
yeah, in that case,
it's a trending thing. Does the content exist or not? I think in terms of like location based snippets, like a map, it would depend on the search query. So if you're just searching for like, I don't know, Pizza Hut near me, you're probably
it's going to be different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you'll
near
you'll
me
see a
searches.
map in any case, depending on where you are. But that's why it's so important to understand the context and the data behind, where's this volatility stemming from, and then that will help you make a better decision about what changes you need to make and when.
That's why I asked about this. Okay, and can you briefly tell me what tools do you use to do these types of analyses?
Yeah, so for those that don't want to spend a ton of money on SEO tools, which I wholeheartedly understand, Google Search Console is really honestly the best free SEO tool that you can use. You can check any queries that are driving clicks to your website, check the average click-through rate. You can also do things like checking index and crawling statuses, resolving those types of errors, also seeing which countries are coming to your website most often. So I think if you don't use anything else, at least use Google Search Console.
Yeah.
Because it's free and super informative. It doesn't draw in third-party analytics. It's your own analytics, so it should be basically your most accurate data measurement. But if you do use an SEO tool, SEMrush is good, Ahrefs is good. I feel like it's just a subjective thing.
Yeah,
Who likes which one more? I don't know that one tool is better than another one there. So I've also found if you're on a limited budget as well, Ahrefs has really good free tools. So it has like a free tool suite that'll give you some keyword ideas and just a quick traffic
Ahrefs
overview.
Webmaster Tools.
Yeah, that as well.
Yeah.
So there's some really good free ones. What else do I use? In terms of multi-language, there's a little Chrome plugin that's called SEO Quake that's really useful because then you can get you can search for different SERPs based on location and language. So that's also free. You can get actually quite far with free tools.
Yeah, exactly. So multi-language is your thing. So probably Ahrefs Langs are something you are really good at. Is it like your favorite part of SEO?
I think my favorite part of SEO is actually more around the strategy creation. So understanding, because in multi-language, often this is a part of an expansion somehow. So Germany to the US or the UK to France or I don't know, Italy to Scandinavia, something or other like this.
Sure.
And the funnest part for me in that is understanding how does the product offering fit within that new market? What are the changes in terms of the target market? What do we need to understand that's maybe different from headquarters versus in the new target markets? How do we apply SEO within that local market? Which is like one of the big things that we focus on is localization versus translation.
Yeah.
So you can't just take a keyword that has a really good search volume in English and then translate it to another language and expect it to perform in the same way, because languages are very nuanced and there's completely different ways of saying different things. And you can maybe find that if you translate it, there's actually no search volume in that new language or that new market that you're looking for. So it's really important to do individual market keyword research and competitor research to understand how that market is performing, and then applying that strategy as its own separate SEO strategy. And so I think kind of putting all of those parts together, that would be my favorite part.
Okay, so don't translate your pages automatically
Yes.
and put text on them.
Yes, exactly.
So, summing up. Okay. So now I want you to tell me, what does your typical day look like? Like Adriana wakes up and what happens next?
Yeah, so after I wake up and finish eating my breakfast, drinking some coffee, etc., I'm doing a number of things depending on what the focus of the day is. I try to do sort of like 3 groups of things in a day max, because the mode switching is very anti-productive, especially for me.
I have the same issue. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those that are unfamiliar with that, it's basically like grouping similar types of tasks together into one block, so you don't have to think about 5 different things within a day, and you just have brain overwhelm, which brain overwhelm contributes a lot to burnout as a founder. So if there's anyone else here who's listening who's a founder, that's like one huge piece of advice I can give you is try not to do 20 bazillion things in a day. Try to keep it really to like you're focusing on 2 or 3 important things and grouping those together by time. So that's basically what I would do is maybe one day I would have accounting, going through and like tracking all of the expenses, reviewing our revenue and our KPIs related to the business growth, maybe setting budgets, making team payments, sending invoices to clients, stuff like this. Then it might also be another area would be like checking on our internal marketing strategy. So it could be that our head of marketing, Louise, she might have something ready for me to review in terms of our strategy or content we're producing or a website update, something like this. So I'm looking over that. And then maybe a third thing could be something related to a client, probably in sales. So maybe I'm working with a project manager to do a proposal for a discovery call that we just had, or could also be trying to resolve an issue with a current client and just, what's our angle for communicating with the client, ensuring we can resolve it and make everyone happy. So those are kind of like, I would say, the 3 sort of groups of things that I focus on.
Okay, and how many hours on average do you work per week, per day? Do you work like seven days per week, or do you take
No,
days off?
no. So yeah, so that's the beauty of like of scaling well is in the past I did work really a lot of hours, like every day, like 12-hour days, craziness. But now I'm to the point where I work maybe between 25 and 30 hours. Sometimes there can be longer days with a lot more to do, such as if we have like a big influx of leads, which is great. I would never complain about that. So then the week might be a little bit more intensive, while I'm really dedicated to working on the proposals. But some weeks are also really light. Like if we don't have a lot of stuff that's due for clients, and maybe I don't have a lot of like events that I've involved in, or a presentation to prepare, then it can be even less. So definitely in the last year, my work-life balance has improved a lot, which has been good.
Yeah, I'm working on that right now. Talking about proposals, can you share some tips on creating good proposals?
Yeah, I think that's something that I will
Maybe
probably.
not secrets, but just a few tips.
Yeah, no, I think that's something I'm always working on improving and optimizing. We never send the same proposal out twice ever. Every proposal we're trying to improve somehow. So right now, especially because it's very difficult for decision makers to justify investments, we're trying to work on how can we improve our forecasting and our KPI estimations, and how can we display that in a proposal more strongly so that it helps whoever we're speaking with feel more confident in us. Or it can also be the case that the contact we had in our discovery call has to go and actually convince their stakeholders to give them the budget to work with us. And so that's a very important piece, is just trying to make things as concrete as possible. I guess that's probably my biggest advice in proposals is, don't make them vague. Give a few strategy tips, based on what you want to do for the specific project. Not so much because, the client should pay you to come up with the
Yeah.
strategy, but just, make it individualized, make it your scope of work and your pricing very specific. Any sort of KPI estimations, try to make them as specific as you can. It's not always possible. Sometimes the client doesn't have access to sales data, and then you have to make some guesses or try to find another angle. But basically, in the end, the more specific you can make things, the better, because it comes off as much more personal. And the person that you're trying to work with knows that, like, okay, they're really serious. in the sales process of working with me. So they're also going to take my project really seriously and be very, dedicated and personalized as well.
Yeah, sure. And I also like to sometimes include a small list, not full of SEO issues that the website is having, so
Yeah.
that they already know, okay, this site needs help.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so SEO proposals, and can you tell me how do you learn SEO? Because you really seem to have way more knowledge than a person with 7 years of experience has. So how have you done this?
Yeah, that's a question I get asked really a lot. Probably one of the most common ones is like, I don't know, what resource should I use to learn SEO? And my answer every time, my honest answer is go work on real websites in real business conditions with real data and real customers, and that is the best possible way that you will learn. I
Uh-huh.
never took any course on SEO. I
Oh,
worked only on real projects, and of course I did have people who mentored me, or clients who we collaborated together a lot more, like maybe them working more on the content side and me trying to experiment with some things on the SEO side. And I got really lucky that there were some projects that were very open to that, and through that process I've learned a lot through purely application. SEO
yeah.
is not really a field that you can, from my perspective, that you can really go and successfully learn just from like studying,
Reading, studying.
university degree. You can't read it. You can't even go, a class can help you maybe, but where you're going to learn the most is just, getting your hands dirty, getting in the nitty
Yeah.
gritty, learning what works and what doesn't, reviewing real data, and that's going to give you so much, faster route to learning a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, this is also how I started. But I started with SEO courses, but very very soon after that I simply started building websites like crazy. And in my first 2 or 3 years, I think I built, I don't know, maybe close to 50 websites, broke them down, and
Nice.
this is actually where and how I I think I learned the practical part of SEO. Okay, so what else did I want to ask you? If you were to give some tips or one final tip for women who are now having their own SEO consultancies, SEO companies, agencies, what would be your number one tip or top three tips?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just try to always learn as much as you can, so you have a really great skill set that you can then apply to different projects. And then when you do have successes on those projects, then celebrate them. And you use that for your own leverage, whether you work agency side or in-house. Like, tell everyone, tell everyone that you are successful, and you'll keep getting those opportunities to go bigger and go bigger, and that's how you can ask for more money. That's how you can get promotions, get in more senior roles, have more say in how a project runs. It's really just, giving yourself the chance to learn everything and learn from other people as much as you can. So don't be afraid, if someone gives you, this task, like, try this out, say yes to it, take the chance to learn. That's how I learned. I said yes to everything so I could try it and learn it.
Yeah,
And now I'm to the point where I run an agency. So that
nice.
have that mentality. Of course, don't get taken advantage of. But if you have some sort of success, then use that to make your next project even better and get paid even more, or get more responsibility or get a promotion. And just don't be afraid of, like, celebrating yourself.
Okay, and the tip on what we should be avoiding?
Oh, yeah. I think in terms of things to avoid, I guess it goes back to what we discussed with learning SEO, or really anything in business, to be honest, like spending too much time reading. Just like get into an actual project and try to, get a real learning experience, and you're going to learn so quickly. I think a person can absolutely become quite experienced in SEO within a few years if all of the random stuff that you don't need is cut out and you just work on real projects. So just,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Yeah.
don't waste a ton of time like reading every article in Moz or something like that. Like go work on a real project.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree. And who are you going to give a shout out to?
So I have two people. For sure, I can't miss Arish Abu Ali. She's the founder of the Women in Tech SEO community. It's a really, really amazing community that offers free mentoring, networking opportunities. There was just a conference recently. I was unfortunately sick and unable to attend, but I did last year, and it's awesome. And just all of the empowerment and the building each other up in this group. I've never seen another community specifically for women that does that so well like this community, and it's really all thanks to her and her constantly standing up for women, not to do unpaid work and unpaid
Yeah,
speaking and
I
things
love
like
it.
this, and I love it so much. And so if you're just starting out, or really no matter where you are in SEO or even just in marketing, this is probably the top community that you can be in, and just there's a ton of support there. And I think in terms of the person to follow, someone I've recently been following quite heavily is Andrew Holland. He also works agency side, but has a ton of experience in SEO, and he has really, really helpful visuals that simplify
Mm-hmm.
a lot of complex stuff in SEO. And he is very good at describing things with like very realistic perspective. And so if you're in the process of learning, or you want to, make a sort of business case, if you're working in house and you need to improve on SEO, or you want to tie it back to business results, then he's really helpful. Just read through his posts, and he's got some really great advice there.
Okay, thanks. And where can people find you and follow you? Do you share a lot on social media or?
Yes. So I've taken a bit of a break from LinkedIn lately. Has a relation to do with that we're revamping our brand. And so I'm a bit more focused on that right now. But typically I do post more on LinkedIn. That's the best place to find me. If you'd ever like to ask a question and chat, feel free to send me a message. I'm also on Twitter. So those two places are the best way to reach me, basically.
Okay. So Adriana, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I really learned a lot, and I think other people did too.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so thanks everyone, and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.